Welcome to Monster Chats, presented by Monster VoIP, where we share the tools, methods, and best practices that business leaders use to build new connections, strengthen relationships, and impact sales in organizations of all shapes and sizes. If you have any questions that come up during today's episode, please text them to 424-378-6966. Please welcome the founder of Monster VoIP, your host, Colin Mitchell.
All right, on today's episode, we're going to be talking with Tony Zorc of Accounting Seed. Tony and I are going to be talking about everything from accounting, financial management, startups, business ownership, leadership, and success in the post-pandemic. I'm Colin Mitchell, the host of Monster Chats and the founder of Monster VoIP. Tony has leveraged his combined experience in public accounting, finance, and IT for 20 plus years. Tony Zorc started Accounting Seed in 2008 with a goal of creating an innovative open architecture accounting application on the Salesforce platform. Tony is a Forbes author and thought leader on technology and leadership. Tony, welcome to Monster Chats.
Colin, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for being a customer too. So really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. We love Accounting Seed, and so today we're going to be talking about a few things. One of the topics is accounting and financial management, which I think you are more than qualified to talk about. We're going to be talking about startups, business ownership, and leadership, and then also just kind of your thoughts on the guide for success in post-pandemic, which I know you're covering in more detail in your upcoming book.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm looking forward to it.
So before we dive in, just tell us a little bit more about yourself, your personal journey and story of kind of where everything got started, and how you got to where you're at today.
Yeah, I'll try to keep that short. I graduated out of college in 1996 as a CPA, got my certified public accounting certificate. Went into public accounting because there were so many jobs available out of college. What I realized soon is that the jobs were hard and they weren't necessarily kind of fun or interesting. There's a lot of grunt work in being in public accounting, and it can get mundane a lot of times. So I decided I moved on and took several jobs, and always kind of connected to accounting though. But around 2006 or 7, I decided to start my own business, and what I was surprisingly really passionate about was all the technology behind accounting. And I loved learning about the databases and APIs and how everything works together. And so I sold accounting systems in the mid-market for quite a bit of time, and then this opportunity came up where I had several customers wanting to kind of integrate their accounting system to Salesforce because they were doing more and more stuff on Salesforce. And so long story short, when I got into the Salesforce space, I was just blown away with the technology, what could be done. So I decided to build an accounting application on Salesforce and avoid doing integrations to it, right? With that came all of the beautiful things that you can do with this platform and completely, customize this to your exact business requirements, all with clicks and no code. And that was really the game changer. The stuff that took, the stuff that takes just seconds with no code in our platform took me, days with a developer in the old technology, right? So it's so far of a journey ahead and all in the cloud. And so, started in 2008, now I have 1,000 customers and have grown 25-30%, continuously each year. And it's been just a wonderful business to run. So
Nice. Very, very amazing. So let's go back for a second, right? So you graduate from college, and you're a certified public accountant, thinking that's what you want to go into. And then how long before you realize this is not what I want to do?
Oh man, I think it was 6 months in, right? So but I had so much invested in it, right? In the public, being a public accountant is actually what I thought I was going to be doing was more like being a business professional and being an advisor. But in the big firms, being a public accountant is a lot more like being an attorney. It's more like being a lawyer, and you're kind of specialized in especially on the audit side or the tax side too of that business, you're really, you're really reviewing stuff for compliance to what's called GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. So if you gotta, it takes a mindset to really like that and get into that. And I couldn't get into it. I was just not me. It was not important. I'm not a very legalistic kind of guy. So, but you had to have 2 years experience to get your CPA and CPA certificate in Michigan. So I stuck it out the 2 years. It was a wonderful experience. It's like getting an MBA, really. I mean, you see so many businesses, you learn so many wonderful things, but I was ready to move on in a couple of years. So.
Yeah. And I mean, and that experience and education obviously molded, your expertise, to kind of build what you have today. Right. So without that, there's no accounting seed.
Yeah. That's completely true. And I used it all throughout my career because I had to prepare, all that material for the CPAs and all of the jobs I've had. And even the job I have today, we get audits for different things. So, knowing how the other side thinks has been critical to engineering that to get them what they want, right, really easily. But I had much better time engineering. I think I found out I was more of an engineer at heart than I was an accountant. And I became more of a software architect, than an accountant too. So, because nowadays I even have CPAs, that do things for me. So, and I get their advice on what to do too. So over the last 25 years, I've become more of that solutions architect, rather than, I'm more of a, rather than an accountant, I'd say.
Okay. So let's fast forward a little bit. And, so 2008, right? That's when Accounting Seed starts, right? And let's kind of talk about the startup life a little bit. Like the first version of Accounting Seed, did you build that? What happened? Walk us through that, the initial, year 1, year 2 of Accounting Seed.
Colin, well, all right. So like every startup, I had a full-time job, right? So what I had to do was nights and weekends, to do this. So I actually started doing Accounting Seed with a bunch of side jobs. I was actually programming a lot of custom reports, pretty elaborate reports for companies using Microsoft SQL Server and SQL Server reporting services. So, there was so much you could do with those tools, and a lot of companies in this area needed a lot more reporting. So I actually, started the whole business just off of programming these custom reports. And then, so nights and weekends, finally, I looked to my wife. I'm like, I can do, I think I can do this full time and make enough money doing it full time because I'm getting burned out. And I was literally taking sales calls on my lunch break in the car. Like I would go out, and this was like in the middle of the summer, and I would have a little Wi-Fi thing and doing demos in my car on my lunch break, and in the middle of Maryland, and I was like roasting in there. I'd feel like coming back into the office where I worked, like sweating because I was like out in this car, like doing the sales calls, right? Yeah.
So that obviously wasn't very sustainable.
No, it was not. And I'd say, about 3 months of that, I'm like, I've got to just move on, right? I can't do 2 jobs my whole life, and it got to the point where I really think, and if you're an entrepreneur going for it, I tell you, man, the absolute hardest thing in the world is starting it, is quitting your job, being willing to go without a paycheck. Now, I'm looking at, at the time I was making about, $100,000 a year, with my salary and bonus and all of these things. And, now I look at like, okay, let's invest $5 million, right? 10 years later, having so much bigger company, right? But the $5 million seems like nothing compared to going without that paycheck with that first 100,000. That is the hardest part of it. And it's so much about just doing it, right?
Yeah.
That you got to just have the guts and go for it.
Right. And with the current situation, right, with the pandemic, there's a lot of people that now have, are without a job, and they might as well take this opportunity to do whatever it is that they've been sitting on the fence about or thinking about or not willing to just go all in on. I think now's the time, right? Would you agree?
I think, Colin, honestly, any time is the time. And with every crisis comes an opportunity. So yeah, now's a great time as well. And it's just recognizing what's the opportunity in the crisis. And if you can figure that out, then go for it. But we're in a, I'm writing a book about, I'm doing it with Forbes. And I just submitted my manuscript for it. But the reality is, and what I claim to be is what I call an iconoclast. So an iconoclast is really three things. It's someone who challenges the existing way of doing things, engineers a plan to do it better, and then actually executes the plan, has the discipline to execute it, right? And the reality is we are in a world of constant change, and opportunity is constantly around us, and we don't think to challenge it. We don't think to find opportunity. How we find opportunity is we challenge the existing way of doing something, right? That's all the time. If you can think about that, then you'll find tons and tons and tons of opportunity all over the place, because why things are the way they are is basically what I describe are the underlying dynamics of that. So those are a lot of things. Those can be a law. It could be a pre-described notion of thinking a certain way. It can be, a certain technology that molded it this way. It would be, things like a dynamic would be even things like why did we have the client server era computing? Because so many cheap computers were able to do things rather than a centralized mainframe at a local level, right? So that was a technology innovation. There's all kinds of dynamics around belief systems,
So walk us through what was your mindset prior to starting Accounting Seed of wanting to challenge, how things should be done differently.
Yeah, right. So the mindset was here. You should have what we call best of breed applications in the software business space. So that would be the idea. Okay, let's take a great CRM system. Let's take a great accounting system. Let's take a great service system, and then we'll integrate those together. So that's how we've been doing things for years, because there's no one company that can create all three of those things, right? That seems to be impossible, right? So that was the paradigm I was working under. And then I had about 6 clients basically say to me, hey, can you integrate, Salesforce to the accounting system we have? And I at first said, I'm like, no, I don't know anything about what is this thing, Salesforce, that you're talking about? I don't know anything about that. Never heard of it. And they're like, okay, well, it's just another computer program. You know our accounting system. Can't you help us? I'm like, nope, sorry, can't do it. So like I got like, and this happened like all these customers, and I call them up for follow-up work. I'm like, hey, I'm starting out my business. I can help you. Do you need anything else? They're like, yeah, we need that integration we asked you about. Can you do that? I'm like, well, I can learn, but you're going to be paying me to learn that. Are you okay with that? They're like, that's fine. We can't find anyone else, so we got to figure that out somehow, right? So I'm like, okay, great. So I'm getting paid to learn this other technology, right? And when I got into this, I'm like, holy cow, this is not a CRM system. This is a computing platform, and it's mislabeled. And what could be done here is you can actually build apps on top of this. So the paradigm of building something off platform and integrating I'm like, why are we doing that? It's because we haven't had a platform like this that this could be done. And now you can have best of breed on a single platform, which is why Salesforce is kind of going to be unstoppable these next.
So did you integrate the accounting for them?
I did, and it was terrible. Oh, it was awful. I went back to all of them. I'm like, I worked really hard on it. I had API calls and middleware and everything going. I'm like, oh, how's it going? Do you guys like it? And they're like, no, it sucks. And I'm like, well, I worked really hard on that. Tell me that I'm taking that personally. Why is it bad? It's like, well, okay, every time we do some kind of configuration in one side of the system, it breaks these integrations, and then we have to reconcile our data and run reports out of this, It just doesn't work, and we can't keep things current. we developed a kind of master slave mindset around the data. And it's just impossible to keep these things in sync. And there's all this duplicate data going back and forth. And I'm like, okay, no, I get it. So with that, I'm like, this problem's not going away anytime soon. Why don't I try to build this app? And sure enough, it works. So
yeah, awesome. All right, so you walked us a little bit through the startup days of Accounting Seed, running the demos in your car in the heat while still working a job, right? And then kind of walk us through what's changed now. How are you leading Accounting Seed? What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing differently? Talk to us a little bit about the culture.
Yeah, well, now we're about 50 employees, 1,000 customers, very established. We so much more established, right? And I've been able to delegate most of the management. Even this, I sold out of the first 1,000 customers, I sold like the 600 of them myself, right?
Oh, wow.
Talking with guys like you, and so it was great to be able to develop a sales team, hire a sales manager, then institute a sales methodology, and then train people on that, and then same with the development. And what I do mostly now is two things. I still design a lot of the product. That was my passion, and I really still love that. And I do several marketing things, educational things, mostly like, shows like this and webinars, speaking and stuff like that. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now talk to us a little bit about your book and kind of your thoughts on this, this guide for success in the post-pandemic that you're putting together.
No, thank you. Yeah. Well, all right. So the first thing I want to say that's not popular, and I always get a lot of blowback right away, is that I believe we have panicked as a society and we're overreacting to this. And nobody, likes to feel like, no, I'm not panicking. Why would you say I'm panicking? Right? That's the general response, right? And I think I think what's going to happen in about a year from now, to 2 years from now, I think we're going to look back and recognize that we did panic. And what's going on now is, and this is my opinion, and I think, what's wonderful about living in America is that we can all have our opinions and don't necessarily need to, berate someone else's or think less of it. But in my opinion, this is a tough time, right? Because when you look at kind of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, you're almost pairing against life versus liberty. Like, this is like, our governors and whatnot are really have in a situation where they have to put one against another. So that's not an easy decision. I'm in total agreement with that. But we're also not really balancing the liberty and pursuit of happiness with the life at all. We don't have a solution that's kind of balanced. It's around life and protecting life, which I understand. But we could have done this in a different way. I believe that would have quarantined those who are really at risk and let things keep going economically a lot better than we have. But the book is about how it's about iconoclasm. So this is, again, those three things which I mentioned, which is challenging the existing paradigm, it's engineering a better way, and then having the discipline to do it. And do you think that's where most people fall off, right? They see the opportunity, they maybe come up with a plan, but they just don't execute? Yeah, I think all three of those points are fall-off points. So first is like, how do I figure out? A lot of people think there's like a limited amount of opportunities, right? And that's so not the case. We have every single day a brand new opportunity is coming, and it's all because of change. We get fearful of change and hate it, but we should all love it. And a true entrepreneur loves change and thrives on it.
I thrive in change. This situation is unfortunate it's going on, but it's opened up tons of opportunities for
Yeah, exactly. So a true entrepreneur loves change. So the first part is challenging the existing paradigm. A lot of people don't think to do that. But however, you can think to do that. If you think to do that, then you're an iconoclastic thinker, right? But then maybe you just leave it there. And you don't have to necessarily be it. One of the things in the book I cover, you don't have to be an entrepreneur to be an iconoclast. You could just be a mom at home trying to take care of your kids. You could work for the government. You could do any of these things. It's more of a way of thinking than it is being an entrepreneur. But however, a lot of entrepreneurs are iconoclasts as well. So that first thing is learning to think like an iconoclast, learning to challenge that existing paradigm. So the book covers a lot of that. And then it goes through my story, and then it also covers the other parts, which are engineering a better plan, right? How to do that. And then having the discipline to execute it. A lot of people, have that thought. They're like, I thought of that. I should, and then they see some other company grab the opportunity. Like, I thought of that like 2 years ago when it came out. But you didn't.
Or do you think there's people who I think it's probably common that people have the idea and then they try to execute without a proper plan, right? So that's common call as well. Exactly.
So the next part is the engineering of the plan. And then the third part is the discipline to execute it, right? And I heard, I was watching an interview. I forgot who was another thought leader who was basically reflecting on what he had done and said, ideas are the easy part. 95% is execution. It's so hard, to execute. Having the idea is easy, right?
So does the book give them like some practical things of like how to kind of think in that way of like looking for the opportunity, like some practical things of like, engineering a plan, and then how to create that mindset of discipline to execute?
It does. Yeah, it does. So it's really 4 parts to the book. So the first part is kind of an introduction to what it is. The second part is really covering my journey as an iconoclast. And another part is giving examples as you said. And then the last part is really outlining what's changed with the pandemic and what new dynamics have been introduced as part of that. So a lot of I think success in business management is learning from other people's stories. So that's why I put my story in, because it shows exactly what I did and how I thought about things and how I executed and how I learned to do this. And I think if you go to like Harvard Business School, the whole business school is taught off of case studies. So they just look at the same thing. They look at what did this entrepreneur or manager do in this specific circumstances, and then you kind of study that, and then you try to take away and apply it to your life. But that's a lot of how this is taught. It is because you're right. It's got to be contextual to your life, right? So how do you make it? So hopefully you see what someone else did in their situation, and then the ideas come for your situation.
Right. Okay. Wow. And when can we expect to see that book?
I'm hoping it's in editing right now. I just actually was working on the cover yesterday with Forbes, and I'm really hoping we're going to have it out late August, early September. But I'd love to, come back and when it's out and give you more information on this.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tony, we're just about out of time. I just really want to thank you for your time. Welcome to the Monster Chats community, and then just give our audience a bit more information where they can find out more about you, about Accounting Seed, or connect with you online.
Yeah. So Colin, thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it. I have my own website, TonyZorc.com. It's TonyZorc. I also bought Zork and redirected it because a lot of people have misspelled my name. I will like it's no problem.
That's good. That's a good plan and good execution.
Yeah, that's good execution right there. So you can find out much more at my website, and then also Accounting Seed is linked right there too. So if you just go to the TonyZorc.com, you can kind of find it out all. And really appreciate being on the show, and thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, Tony. And if you're listening, please subscribe, share the podcast with your friends. And also, we are open to hearing your feedback. The show is all about you, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Monster Chats, presented by Monster VoIP, where we share the tools, methods, and best practices that business leaders use to build new connections, strengthen relationships, and impact sales in organizations of all shapes and sizes. If you have any questions from today's show and want to reach us directly, please text your question to 424-378-6966.